this was my favorite. JFK Jr., who is not
Yeah.
alive,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
is not alive, was supposed to appear at the site of his father's assassination and declare Trump the true president.
Yes.
So Zombie Jifk Jr. is going to come back and be like, Trump is president. We're all going to be like, yeah, makes sense. What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for being with us today. This is the Deviance Welcome podcast brought to you by Volatile Patience. I am John, and with me, as always, my co-host, Sel. Say hi to the people, Sel.
Hi, the people.
Fantastic. So how you doing today, Sel?
I'm actually okay.
Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay.
That's great to hear, homie. That's awesome.
I don't know what's different about this week than other weeks, but this week, I'm okay.
Hey, you know what? I am happy to hear it, and I'm not even gonna pry. I'm just gonna let it go.
I wouldn't have an answer if you did pry.
Sel is
I don't know
okay,
why.
and that is okay.
I'm okay this week.
Mark it. It took us 50 episodes for Sel to be okay. 50.
It's the 50th episode celebration. That's
Maybe
why
that's
I'm
what
okay.
it is. Maybe he's okay. I did not dope him up before this episode.
I am totally sober.
Totally sober, with the exception of the
Totally
nicotine.
sober. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's base state for me.
Well, yeah. After all this time, yeah. So, I heard some interesting QAnon news.
Yes.
Not from QAnon, because I
No,
don't
of course
buy that
not.
bullshit.
And there's good reason why you shouldn't.
And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I heard that some machine learning and two different studies from, I believe, two different countries have identified the same two people as the closest possible identities.
As the well, okay, so with Q, because it is anonymous,
Right.
rabbits.
Oh, the bunny ears are coming out quick.
Yeah, because it is anonymous, there could be a lot of fake Qs out there.
And are likely.
And likely are. So like some percentage of the so-called Q drops are almost certainly not Q.
Right.
Not either of these two individuals,
Right.
but these two individuals that they have identified independently are the bulk of the Q material.
Right. That's
They are the bulk of Q.
and before we get too far into that, I wanted to go into what is QAnon to begin with.
because some people apparently don't know.
Some people still don't know.
Okay.
Which to me is fucking mind-blowing.
Right.
This shit has been around for years.
Years.
Like and
Pre-Trump.
And honestly, I didn't know really that much about QAnon at all
Right.
until COVID.
Right.
But how the fuck after COVID do you not know about QAnon?
Because that's when QAnon blew up. What really
Right.
was because like everybody was at home, stuck at home, and they're on fucking YouTube and they're on fucking Facebook and
everybody that believes a vaccine makes you magnetic is getting that shit from QAnon.
right.
I'm not kidding.
Right.
How do you not fucking know?
Right.
Holy
Right.
shit.
right. Okay. So what was it? Probably like 2014, 15, 16, somewhere around there is when the first Q drop popped off.
I believe October of 2017.
2017. Wow.
Well,
okay.
Hold on just a second. For a quick reference.
Yeah.
Just a definition. Like one of the definitions I found that rang true was at its heart, QAnon is a wide-ranging, completely unfounded theory that says President Trump is waging a secret war against elite Satan-worshipping pedophiles in government, business, and the media. So it's gone so far as to say that that this fight will lead to a reckoning where prominent people such as Hillary Clinton,
Yes. They call that event the Great Awakening.
right, is arrested and executed.
Or sent to Guantanamo.
Right. And it's spurred on just so many different offshoot conspiracy theories. But
It's more like consolidated every conspiracy theory ever
Okay.
under its an umbrella.
And we're gonna get a little bit more into that, but let's go back to the beginning here.
Yeah.
In October of 2017.
October
I
of
believe, was the first one.
2017, some rando on the internet pointed out these drops that were supposedly coming from a secret, super secret spy operative military guy or something who was allegedly part of a team fighting the deep state.
He let's see. He claimed to have a level of U.S. security known as Q clearance.
Right.
How about that? He has Q clearance.
Q clearance.
That's a little too branded for me, I think. Like, that's red flag 1. Okay.
Right. It is a clearance level that, just for the record, does not exist.
Right. Even my ignorant ass in 2017 would have looked at that and gone, something doesn't add up there. But okay.
And the thing is that, like, with where this was posted initially, and we'll get more into that later, this, like, genre of post of being a secret operative of some government somewhere,
right,
was a common type of post.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, and like, nobody ever believed that the claims in the post were real, but for some reason,
believed in past tense.
Yeah, some reason I have no understanding of why this one caught on.
Yep.
And people thought this one was real. Now, I'm willing to say that in all probability, the main thing behind it was it fed into all of their cognitive biases, so they believed it immediately.
That's the only possibility.
The best I got.
It gave everybody an argument, a talking point. It gave them a reason to think that mask wearing was stupid. It gave them a reason to say that vaccines make you, or that the vaccines don't need to happen.
Before even all that,
right?
Like it
gave you a reason to believe that a reality TV star and failed businessman, by all accounts, was a great candidate for the presidency of the United States.
Right.
Wow. Holy crap.
And it, fed into all of the things about how, it basically like it basically like jumped, like it was the next evolution of the Pizzagate conspiracy, right? Like people were hardcore into Pizzagate, right? And the guy who is one of the people that may be Q was hardcore into Pizzagate, and he basically like piggybacked off of the Pizzagate conspiracy as the opening volleys of what QAnon posts were.
Okay. For those of us who don't know.
Oh, you don't know about Pizzagate?
Raised. Give me a 30-second definition of what Pizzagate was.
Pizzagate was the belief that there was a super secret underground basement in the Comet Ping Pong Pizza Parlor. That all of the movers and shakers in Washington went to have their child sex slave orgies.
Under a pizza parlor.
Under like it's like a fucking like Chuck E. Cheese's type place.
Oh Jesus
Christ! I don't think they had animatronics, but they have like arcade games and all of the games and shit like that. And you take your kids there, and they play games, and you eat pizza.
And then allegedly the kids go underneath it.
And then allegedly all of the movers and shakers in Washington D.C.
the
would go
pedophiles
there
come rolling in
and have
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Okay.
Pizzagate.
So
sorry I asked, glad I know.
And
I had heard this term a few times, but I didn't know exactly what it was.
And I will admit, I bought it for a minute.
I mean, it's totally believable.
Because one of the things that's wild about Q is that there is pedophilia going on. There are top people in this country and around the world who are a part of it, right? Like the Epstein stuff, Epstein's Black Book, right? We know this shit is happening.
Right.
It just wasn't happening at Comet Ping Pong.
Right.
Okay.
See, I wonder, like, did anybody go there and just
Yeah.
say, hey, let me see your basement? Like,
Well, and that's the thing. One, there is no basement
okay.
because
well,
somebody did go there and started trying to shoot up the place.
Oh, Jesus. You know, and that right there is one of the reasons that conspiracy theories are so dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you have people primarily in this country. I don't know about primarily, but definitely like in abundance in our country. They are willing to not only buy the shit, they are acting on it.
Right.
In violent ways.
Right. I mean, the big thing about it is with conspiracy theories is that, like, the people who have the lowest grasp on reality to begin with are the ones most likely to buy into it.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And these people, because of their lack of grasp of reality, for whatever reason, right? Mental health stuff, whatever it is.
Right. American education system.
Religion, you know,
Whatever
all of
the
those
case, right.
all of those play a role in it, right? You know, lead in the water. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, it could be any number
Yep.
of things.
All
right?
America.
But
Because America.
right, because
Let's leave it
America.
at that.
Right. But because of all of these things, when these people are being incited to violence, I mean, literally being incited to violence. I mean, if you tell somebody there is a pedophile on where X marks the spot,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do about
Somebody
it?
going to shoot that spot.
Like a good person says somebody should do something about that,
Right.
right? Like, if we can verify that whoever's on X spot is a pedophile and has abused children, somebody should do something about that.
Right.
Everybody who has like a good moral code is going to be like, yeah, something needs to be done about that.
Absolutely.
Right? And then when you have these people who don't have a strong grip on reality,
Right.
but are being incited to somebody should do about that, they'll go, I'll be the one to do something about that.
And I don't need the verification.
And I don't
because
need the
just got it.
verification because I just got it. Right.
I mean, let's look at the guy who, January 6th was because of QAnon.
January 6th was basically a Q-op.
Right.
Yeah.
You had, what about the guy in Nashville on Christmas Day that, like, set off his truck at, like, the suicide bomber because of the he was fighting lizard aliens?
That one, I haven't looked into it deeply, but I think I remember the event you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about the one that, like, knocked out the 5G shit or whatever.
He was fighting
bombed,
the
like,
lizard aliens.
He bombed the AT&T headquarters or
No,
whatever.
he was
or is
like
this a
his
different one?
truck was he was driving his truck
Yeah.
around and blew the truck up, blew himself up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's the
And he
same
was
one.
fighting the lizard aliens.
I think that's the same
Yeah.
one, and I think he was parked outside of like an AT&T
Maybe.
substation or
I
some
can't
shit
speak
like
to
that
that.
when he blew that up.
I only looked briefly.
But that one might not be QAnon because the dude blew himself up. Like, we don't have any, as far as I know, evidence that he was affiliated with Q stuff.
I thought we did.
But maybe he is. Like I said, when I last looked into that one, it was way back when it happened, and the information on it back then was very scant.
Well, I was pretty sure that was QAnon related.
It very well could be.
If it
It
wasn't,
very well could be.
If it wasn't, it still fits the point that conspiracy
Yeah.
theories can be dangerous.
Absolutely.
Because there is such an unwillingness to do your own research.
Right.
You hear something that confirms your bias and good old friend cognitive dissonance.
Right.
Right? You're going to just go ahead and follow this thing because it tells you that you're right.
Right.
It makes you feel good. You have we brought this up with white supremacy and metal, episodes and episodes back.
That was like one of our first 10.
Right. The way they go out searching for people like this.
Right.
The outcasts, the ones that, don't have that great grasp on reality. And now all of a sudden
generally
this,
weak social bonds.
right.
Right.
And then this one person that has all of this criteria, right?
Right.
Now you are grouped in.
Right.
You are now part of the group.
Right.
You belong here. Here is your family.
Exactly.
And you will do anything to protect your family, right?
Right.
Now go storm the Capitol.
Yeah.
Today's the day.
And whether or not that particular incident was a Q incident, there's plenty of other ones.
Yes, there are.
My absolute favorite one, honestly, just because it's like, this is the one where I'm like, meh, is this guy who, for whatever reason, decided that like, this guy, Francesco Calli, who was a boss in like the Gambino crime family, like a mafia group, he decided that the guy who killed him was Anthony Camello. And he decided that that Calli was some kind of a deep state operative, and went to his house to make a citizen's arrest, and ended up like crashing into the gate of this Gambino crime family guy's house.
Oh, Jesus.
The guy comes out to like be like, yo, what the fuck? Right. And he just pulls out a revolver or something and just like shoots him point blank. Camello shoots him point blank, right outside his house.
Wow. Something straight out of a mafia
It was
movie
like
right there,
it was some straight up mafia shit, but it was like a QAnon guy.
That's crazy.
Right? Who believed deeply in Q, believes so deeply in Q that all of his evaluations have found him unfit to stand trial.
Wow.
for murdering this crime boss, right? Like right there. So that one's my favorite one. There have been some other weird ones, right?
Well, what about COVID? Right?
Oh, yeah.
The reason we're having all of this I don't know if it's entirely the reason, but a big part of the reason we're having all of this resistance and the fact that COVID is still surging through our country is largely because QAnon conspiracy theories have told you that things like vaccinations are scary. They alter your DNA, they this and that. And it's like, oh my God.
The anti-vax thing was a thing that we all know existed prior to Q.
Right. Of course.
But it was also something that was usually attributed to like leftish wing crunchy vegan people, right? The vast majority of your anti-vax people were like fucking, the new age hippie types, right? And what QAnon has done is folded not only some of those hippie crunchy leftish wing vegans into Q, where you actually have people who are like new age influencers on like TikTok and YouTube and shit like that, who are now full blown Q pilled.
Yep.
But now, because of their influence and them being folded into the Q family, now that anti-vax mentality has spread to the whole Q right wing.
Yep, absolutely. It's like the Joker says, all they need is a little push.
Right.
That's all it took. They just had to poke the right button.
A bridge had to be built between these two groups, and that bridge was Q.
And now we're friends.
And now they're friends, and now anti-vax is spreading.
Right.
Through,
and now 2.5 years later, we're still dealing with COVID.
Yep.
Which, I find a lot of interesting things happening there, because we had just talked about it, I think, in our last month in review, right? QAnon was very pro-Trump. Is very pro-Trump, right? Trump was supposed to, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Trump supposed to come up and cut Biden's head off on the White House steps or something? We're going to get into those too, because those are great. I have the top 5 QAnon misfires.
Wild shit.
Oh, it's good stuff. But anyway, he's supposed to be pro-Trump, right? Trump is vaccinated. Trump publicly said, get the booster.
Yeah.
So, like, what happened? I mean, like, a little consistency is not too much to ask. And even though this stuff happens, you still have people that are like, it's all part of the plan.
Trust the plan.
Oh my God. I saw the perfect meme for it. It's like when you see a sign and you're like, nah, I'm going to wait for a signier sign. What? It's hitting you over the fucking head. I'm close to hitting you over the fucking head.
Speaking of signing your signs, we will. I'm actually not going to do that segue right now, but just keep it in mind that it is a thing that's relevant to this whole conversation. So we'll come back to signing your signs in a minute.
And it's scary for me to think that there are people. My one of my favorite House of Representatives of our government, one of my favorite lawmakers to pick on, is a known QAnon follower,
right?
Miss Gazpacho Police. You know what I'm saying? Like Marjorie Taylor. If you know, I wish we could just get her a dunce cap and a ball gag and say, sit in the fucking corner until your term is over. You're done.
Right.
Okay. You're in timeout now.
Right.
You're done.
Right.
Like, you've been told numerous times not to compare wearing a cloth over your face to being, mass killed.
Right.
Like
in the Holocaust.
Right. You're done.
Right.
Go away. You're done.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, even those macro ones are still like they're weird and oddities, but like other shit that's happening is there is like an underground Q child retrieval like conspiracy, right? Where people who had their kids taken away by CPS believe that they're now being filtered into the child sex slave rings. So they're organizing with other people to like steal their kids back from CPS and foster care and shit like that. Like, this is a thing that has
not
been
going to end well.
No. A lot of my base knowledge on QAnon stuff comes from a podcast called QAnon Anonymous, where they do like really good journalism on Q stuff. They often have on Will Sommer, who is also one of the other people who is on the Q beat and is a lot of information about Q stuff, right? The shit, like, if you really want to get into like deep level, like deeper than we're ever going to on Q shit,
I do not.
QAnon Anonymous is the podcast to listen to on that front.
There have been plenty enough flags for me to just say, I'm going to put this on my bullshit list.
Yeah,
I'm good. Yep. Whenever somebody online, and they're always online because they'll never talk to you in person. But
except they will.
Whenever somebody starts a phrase with, or a paragraph with Q says, I'm like, boop.
Right. Turn this off.
It doesn't. No.
Right.
No.
Right. But that is just some of the weirdness that has come out of this whole thing. Back on the COVID thing, one of the like Navy vessels or something that was parked outside of like fucking New York or wherever, it was there to assist with COVID shit, right? And the Q conspiracy is that this thing is there to house the underground sex slave mole children.
Mole
yes
children.
I shit you not. One of the facets,
breeding people with animals.
Lizard
people, mole children.
No. These aren't they aren't crossbred with animals, if I remember correctly. They are deformed from living underground their whole lives as part of an literally underground child sex slave ring. And the QAnon heroes like retrieved them from this and were housing them on this boat or some shit like that. It's fucking wild, dude. Like, the craziest shit is just like normal parlance in Q world.
I can't understand how somebody could legitimately read that and be like, sounds right. No part of that makes you go, maybe I should question this. I mean, part of that says, this is wild. I feel like it's a little bit too much.
I mean, let's be fair. Back in the day when I was doing a lot of acid and smoking a lot of weed, I was deep into conspiracy theory stuff.
Sure.
And what eventually got me out was definitely the shape-shifting aliens.
And see, that's where I'm at with it. There is got to be a moment where you're like, I'm out.
Right.
This is not the and people aren't doing it.
Right.
Back to my other point, we have government officials,
yeah,
people that make laws,
yeah,
that are QAnon followers,
or at the very least vote on them.
Right. That's terrifying. Speaking of these outlandish things, like there were there were signals here. You know, we had at the inauguration, it was supposed to be bloody steps.
Yeah.
Right. We were supposed to have mass executions and arrests, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it was all part of the plan.
Yeah. No great awakening at any point ever.
Nope. And March 4th was supposed to be Trump's return. And you know, we were supposed to do the inauguration for Trump, and he was supposed to just take over and everything, and he was supposed to be holding Biden's head, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He was supposed to have like cut it off and been like bathing in it, and Cheeto dust and blood everywhere, and like, but that didn't happen.
That depends on the baker, and that's one of the things is like the Q drops themselves are like often sentence fragments and don't actually communicate anything whatsoever.
Right. Of course.
So there's this entire industry of, you know, YouTubers, etc., who their whole thing is they are interpreting the incoherent ramblings of what most Q drops are into a narrative.
Right.
So it really depends on who the baker is on what that narrative is. What it doesn't depend on, as far as who the baker is that they're almost always wrong.
Almost always. Continuing along that, 2020, or the Arizona voting audit was supposed to prove that Trump won in 2020. It actually turned out that they found more Biden
votes for Biden. Oops.
That didn't happen either, but that was all part of the plan.
Sure.
This was my favorite. JFK Jr., who is not alive.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is not alive. Was supposed to appear at the site of his father's assassination and declare Trump the true president.
Yes.
So Zombie Jifk Jr. is going to come back and be like, Trump as president. We're all going to be like, yeah, makes sense.
And
wait, hold on. And then at that point, we were also supposed to switch to the Julian calendar.
Right.
So that we reverted back in time. Right. So that everything was everything and Trump could just go be president and we were just going to forget. Everything was. Oh my God. Dude, I don't smoke enough for this shit. And people are still, it's all part of the plan. You've been wrong this many times.
One of the great things about the JFK Jr. shit is like some random Trump supporting dude for some reason is now considered to be like JFK Jr. in hiding. Right? So like this dude shows up at the Trump rallies and shit like that, and he is a celebrity because all of these Q people think that he is like JFK Jr. in hiding, and he's totally been playing it up too.
Why wouldn't he?
Right, exactly.
Imagine what his GoFundMe account looks like. Jesus Christ, these stupid people have money.
Just imagine how many 60-year-old bleach blonde dyed women he's been having sex with.
Oh my God. But the point is, the signs were there.
Yes.
You've been told.
Right.
You have seen it not come to fruition enough times, and you're still buying it.
And look, if that wasn't enough of a sign for you, here's your sign. One of the results of these linguistic analyses, one of the results of these linguistics analyses is one of these people is Paul Ferber. Paul Ferber, who is a South African IT developer and author for a South African zine. This was the guy who first started drawing people's attention to the Q drops.
He's the one that said government officials were like Satanists, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, he was deep into Pizzagate.
Satanist and pedophiles then.
Right. Before he started being
because
Q.
Satan is a pedophiliac.
Right. I mean, that's always
ignorant and stupid and unevolved and uneducated and American.
Sure. But that's been an ongoing conspiracy. I mean, that's been part of Satanic Panic shit since forever, right? The pedophilia thing. It's just been part of their shtick
which is funny
forever.
Because one side has actually like had issues with altar boys and pedophilia,
right?
And the other one hasn't to date, save for the conspiracy theories,
right? and the panics about it. Right.
Look over here so you don't see what's going on over here.
But the part that I thought was absolutely hilarious and why I had to bring this up is that the company that Paul Ferber works for as his day job, Tildadot, what he does for them is he literally programs signs, digital signs. That is his coding. That is his IT development. That is what he does, is codes digital signs.
So what, like graphics?
Yeah, like when you're driving down the street and you see those digital billboards.
Oh, okay.
He does the coding for those.
Gotcha. That's amazing.
That's what he does. That's his day job.
Cool.
He is definitely not any kind of secret U.S.
He does
like
not have Q clearance, bro.
Right. He does not have
Q clearance. He does not have Q clearance. Bro, you do billboards.
Right.
You do not have Q clearance.
Right.
They would never give somebody who makes billboards for a living security clearance for any of that shit.
Right.
If you have any sort of outlet, if you have a Facebook account with more than 100 people, you don't get clearance.
Right.
Period. Fuck out of here.
He also on his LinkedIn, he links to his Deviant art. He's actually a pretty good artist.
Okay. I didn't get that far.
He does a lot of like Lord of the Rings themed shit.
Okay.
He's actually a pretty good artist. I can't knock him on his art, assuming that it is actually his. But he's definitely not definitely not anything resembling what Q is supposed to be.
Right.
At all.
Of course not.
And this guy has been identified as the bulk of Q posts prior to 2018.
And then after 2018, which coincides with a certain writing switch, a writing style switch. Yes. The study suggests the writing style had changed from Ferber's typical writing style to that of Ron Watkins.
Right.
Who, for those of you who don't know, and I didn't till this week, is running for Congress in Arizona. The place where the voting was supposed to be overturned.
Sure.
Whoops.
Sure.
But interesting thing, apparently, I think 8chan is actually owned by Watkins' father.
Yes.
How about that?
It was bought by Watkins' father after it was built and developed by a dude who was like 14 or 17 or something like that. And he was coming down off of mushrooms.
Yep. Right.
And that guy is like adamantly anti-Q shit. He shows up on QAnon Anonymous a lot and does like interviews and shit with them and gives like backstory, deep info of what's going on with the Watkins.
He made the site, so why wouldn't he, right?
He made the site and he was working for them after Jim bought it.
Right.
So he like knows some shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right? But then Ron was also on the development and apparently took over the Q posts in 2018.
Yep. Well, I mean, and that's if you believe everybody, but that's if you believe the studies and not him, because of course he's come out and denies it. Yeah, I guess he wrote some like shitty "I'm not William Shakespeare" poem or something. I didn't bother reading it, but he's doing everything he can to be like, I'm not Q.
I'm not Q.
I'm not Q. Click,
I'm not Q.
I'm not Q. Click,
right.
No.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to run for Congress. I couldn't be Q.
And he's not Q. He's Q too.
Right.
Like clearly, like if we're to look at this, forensic linguistic analysis, he was.
If we are to accept it as true, because let's be fair, he is not like. In terms of American law, right? He has not been convicted of this.
Right.
We do not have hard evidence of this. We have a machine learning program that was done in two different spots in the world.
Two different spots by two different
independent teams that came up with the same results. So this is not to say that this is conclusive.
Right.
Let's be clear. But if we are to assume that that is true.
Right. If we were to assume that is true, he is the second Q. He is not even the OG Q.
Q squared.
Right. So yeah, like, and he has nothing to do with signs other than putting them on people's yards to say he's running for Congress.
Right.
But
we're back to people in high places that have, that, I mean, running for Congress as one single person, you don't have a ton of power, but you have some.
Right.
And that's enough for me to go, I don't want you in that spot. Like, if you are out there telling me that robot aliens are coming, right? That the lizard people are coming to kill me. If you're coming out with all this outlandish bullshit that you have no basis on and just rounding up the cult, right? I don't want you in a position to speak for me in any capacity. I don't give a fuck if your state is thousands of miles away from mine.
Right.
No.
You know,
like, no.
What's really sad about this? What's really sad about this is that the people who follow the Q shit are in so deep right now.
So deep.
They're in so deep on this shit that they could literally...
They are elbow deep within the borderline.
They could literally accept that Paul Ferber and Ron Watkins were Q.
Yep.
They could accept that as true.
Mm-hmm.
And it would only elevate Paul and Ron within their movement.
It's all coming together.
They like the whole idea that this was some super secret security clearance that was like fighting the deep state thing.
Mm-hmm.
Totally gone at this point. It doesn't matter anymore. These people are in so deep that they are just now going to elevate the people who really are Q.
It would be their signier sign that they're just right.
Right.
And it's been going all
that's
along,
exactly
and the plan is working.
It should be like, oh, I got duped by a guy in South Africa who makes signs. I should stop believing in this shit. But sunk cost fallacy is going to have them
cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, they're at this point either going to completely deny that those two people are Q forever, or they're going to accept that those two people are Q, and it is just going to make them celebrities within the movement.
Yep.
I mean, Ron was already a celebrity within the movement, right? Like being part of the whole Watkins clan that was hosting the Q drops.
Right.
They were already like big dogs and big players within it.
Right.
But now, like, that's the thing is like the most insane version of this to me is that they accept that they're Q and go with it.
Right.
Right. And because we live in the timeline we live in, the most insane version is going to be the one that we get.
It's coming. We'll keep a lookout for that. Well, thank you so much for checking us out today. This has been Deviance Welcome. You can check out more episodes and get access to the latest everything on the website, volatilepatience.com. There, you can sign up for the mailing list and tell us what kind of topics you'd like to hear. Check out the sock meds if that's your thing, facebook.com/volatilepatiencemusic.
Spelled weird on Twitter at VOLATYLPATIENCE because Twitter did not give us enough characters.
Thank you, Twitter.
And spelled normally at volatile_patience on Instagram because Instagram did give us enough characters.
Thank you, Instagram. You can check out the Deviance Welcome specific YouTube channel at Deviance Welcome, or you can check out the band specific YouTube channel because we do play music in our spare time at Volatile Patience. Check out the Deviance Welcome Facebook group where you can continue the discussion with us and let us know what you think. Remember to give us a review on Apple, and we know who QAnon is, guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
That question that has been plaguing people for years has now been answered.
And I hope they
die. Perhaps not conclusively, but solid enough for my cognitive biases.
My cognitive biases have been served.
You got two independent teams that came up with the same results. That's good enough for me.
And I'll leave you with this. We've said it dozens of times. Do your own research. Don't just take something at face value. For the love of God, learn stuff. And with that, we'll see you next week. Say bye to the people, Cell.
Bye, the people.
The show must go on.